Right, hello everybody. Good evening. I'm rather flattered to be asked to come and speak to you tonight, to be honest with you. So I'm going to use a few notes because I wrote down some important stuff that I think you need to hear from me so that I can share that with you. Let me just say that from the very beginning that there's nothing special about me as a person. I don't have some sort of magic weight loss gene or chemistry that anyone else doesn't have. I enjoy myself, I like good things, and I wouldn't say that I'm especially any more motivated than anybody else. So how can that be? For me, I'm a strong believer that knowledge is what triggers change. If you are going to initiate change, you need to understand the processes of change. You need to understand what the cause and effect symptoms are of various situations and where they intersect. And I think after that, action and motivation become almost natural. So I think we're always looking for some sort of magic motivator, some scary thing. But I repeat that I think knowledge is your motivator. If you can comprehend what is happening within you or around you, you'll succeed. For a good number of years, I'd been gaining weight. But I told myself that it couldn't be really much to do with my diet because my diet hadn't really changed that much. And I'm sure a lot of you might be thinking that as well. I didn't think I was overindulging on the whole. But steadily, I was gaining weight to when I saw Austin, actually on an unrelated issue. I'll come back to that just now. I weighed 132 kgs. And to date, I've lost 30 kgs in the last 10 months. So, thank you. As I say, I came to see Austin about an unrelated issue. And of course, he said to me that losing some weight would actually help the problem. I had bad plantar fasciitis, if you know what that is, an inflammation of the sole of your foot. It just wouldn't go away. And my first reaction to Austin was to say, well, actually, you know what, I expected you to say that. Anyway, we got chatting. You know, it was really interesting. And he suggested to me that I may be pre-diabetic or carb intolerant, actually. Some medical terminology crept in that I barely understood, but the essence of what Austin said was that one's body may change over time. It may be processing food differently without one realizing it. So that got me thinking. And at that point, I had absolutely no idea how many everyday foods that we consume are loaded with sugar-producing factors, pure sugar and other additives, as well as the sugar content of carbs themselves. You know, it wasn't a science that, you know, made any sense to me. To put it simply, ingesting foods that are high in sugar can lead to a situation where your body sees sugar as fat and stores it inefficiently as fat, mainly around your waist. And that's what Austin said he thought was happening to me. That seemingly simple statement made a lot of difference to me. It was even more comforting to hear from him that if this was the case and subject to a blood test, which is why I would say you need to to have a blood test and go under the physician to find out exactly if this is the problem or other issues. What was comforting from him to hear was that no amount of exercise was going to help. So I thought, yeah, great. I don't have to go and run a marathon every day, unlike my wife. But anyway, I thought actually that's interesting because I have been trying to do a bit of exercise and blah, blah, blah. But it didn't really make, that much difference. So I thought, well, this is interesting. And I learned that the processes within the body of dealing with sugars come in many different guises. And this knowledge is crucial to unlocking your potential to lose weight. I think weight is often gained through ignorance, actually. But once you're armed with knowledge, your journey can begin. And it will make much more sense psychologically. If you look around, you see lots of great psychological motivators. And it's true that you need the psychological home base to build on. And like I said at the beginning, there's nothing special about me. I'm probably the easiest person to tempt into all sorts of things. But once you get into this understanding, you won't be forcing yourself. It won't feel as though you're forcing yourself to change your diet. You won't be feeling as though you're going against your basic instincts, because the underlying explanation or knowledge will be motivating you and inspiring you. I suppose it's a bit like discovering that for your whole life you'd been driving at night without using the headlight switch, and then realizing that once the headlights are on, actually driving's a lot easier, so there's no need to think about going back to what you did before. So I began this journey maybe a little bit, I wouldn't say I was even skeptical, about a year ago. And I had no idea where the plan would go. I just had faith that the logic of what I'd learned and what the blood tests had indicated would be, worth testing. Plus, of course, as I said earlier, the idea of losing weight without resorting to massive amounts of exercise and stuff really appealed to me. And to be honest, there are periods when I felt that, progress had stalled. But I've also learned that, that's how the body works, I think. And there are other times when weight loss seemed to accelerate almost inexplicably. But I think the key in this process is not to be too impatient, depending on what your goal is. Just be patient and believe. So, what factors, once you embark on some sort of program like this, will keep you going? I've listed a number here. I think, and I know from experience, that before too long, you will feel better. In my case, I had felt drained and pretty tired most of the time. I felt unmotivated and depressed. I put it down to actually having a busy and demanding job, sometimes stressful. But I actually began to realize that it wasn't really the job at all. And that it was sugar that was at the center of the way that I felt. But I just didn't know it at the time. Energy levels do increase, but so does positivity, and so does enthusiasm for things that had become stale or even tedious to do. My blood pressure at the start, I think, was 143/90 or something like that, if that makes sense. And the last test I had with Linda, it was 112/70. That's without doing anything. Those are the side effects. My pulse rate on average was in the early 80s. Now I check it on my phone, it's in the low 70s. So that's good. Optimism as well, psychologically, replaced negativity. And funnily enough, I felt, as you will be told, less hungry than before. And I think these are just some of my experiences that are kind of the motivating rewards that come through, and your body will give you those rewards, if that's what you're looking for, pretty quickly. As you discover that these wellness bonuses are worth experiencing, you have the added joy of losing weight. You'll notice I'm not talking about how you feel better after a month because you've lost 2 kgs or 3 kgs. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how you feel. That's your motivator. When you start having to shop for new clothes and you know that you've sustained yourself, that's a good feeling. Again, it reinforces your mentality. I would say that when we talk about diet, lots of people talk about this as a diet or the banting. I don't know that I want to use those kind of words. I've never starved myself. I'm not on diet, you know. I've never denied myself some sustenance. It's just that what I eat is different. So I'm saying from my experience, I'm not dieting. So I think it's a misnomer. Your eating habits actually assume a new direction. One that I think really works and has tremendous benefits. So it's not something you have to face thinking, this is a diet, you know, I can't have this, I can't have that. There's lots of other things you can have. And that is very sustaining. So again, it comes back to knowledge, information that's valuable and important, but most of all, true. Sugar and sugars in their many forms are your silent enemy. And the impact is hard to overemphasize. I urge you to take a look at what is actually in the foods that you eat, and you'll be shocked. Like I was, once I understood. You just walk through the supermarket, look at a box of muesli, look at carbohydrate content of which sugars, and you'll be shocked at the amount of sugar that they put in these things. But there's lots of great alternatives. You can still go and have a great big breakfast, which I do every day. Fried eggs, bacon, mushrooms, tomato, no problem. You know? I have a way to go to achieve my ultimate goal. A couple of kgs, but you know, another thing that I found out was from Austin was that if you carry on, what becomes your goal? Well, your body, I think people can tell you should be this weight, age, height, and all the rest, but you are what you are, and your body will assume its more natural physical shape or set point. That's the word, thank you. You'll reach a set point below which your body just won't go. It's not happy to do that, and that's fine, you know. I think I'd like to emphasize that what Austin's onto and what he's going to talk to you about is really true, and I put that in capital letters. He hasn't paid me to say that. I paid him to give me the advice. Not a lot. So if you're here for various reasons, possibly weight or other factors, it doesn't have to be weight, actually. I know when I chatted to Lucy, she's on this sort of thing. She doesn't need to lose weight, but she just feels better. That's good. You'll be on your road to salvation and achieving what you want. knowledge is your disciplinarian. It's the greatest motivator. It doesn't require effort. It just happens, and you're not starving. You just change and eat different things. And thank you. I'd like to publicly thank Austin for the discussion we had in his office, quite unexpectedly, because sharing knowledge and a suggestion and idea with me changed my life forever. And so thank you, Austin. I'd also like to thank Linda Anstey for her support and for sharing understanding. Thank you very much.
Thank you both.
Okay, welcome.